Good evening and welcome to Marion City Hall. Tonight is July 1st, 2025 at 7 p.m. for a regular Marion City Council meeting. Welcome everybody. We're going to begin the night calling the meeting to order. And before we move on to any part of the agenda, there is a request to add an item to the agenda. And per our own rules, we must do that at the beginning of the meeting. There was a request to add General Ordinance number 17-2025. It's an ordinance that basically will convert a portion of 2nd Street to a two-way street. It's currently a one-way, and that went to a committee a couple weeks back, and we'll talk more about that when we get to it if we approve it for the agenda. But essentially, this is coming to the council. There was some unfortunate issues that came up that prevented it from getting to the agenda, but there's some safety concerns right now with traffic getting in and around where the River Rocks development is going. So we're requesting the council members, I did email it ahead of time, hopefully you had time to review it, to add this to the agenda. If it were to be added to the agenda, it would be at the very end of new business. So do any council members have questions? If not, I would need a motion to add this to the agenda.
Mr. President, I would...
Did you put your mic on?
I would make a motion to add ordinance number 13. Is that the one? 13, 1995?
17.
17.
It's
the original one. We're amending it, but this is
17.
Oh,
okay. 17, 2025.
Second.
To add that to the agenda.
I got a motion by Councilman Kane, a second by Councilman Calgill. Any discussion? Madam Deputy Clerk, roll call.
Kane.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Fordyce.
Aye.
Brunner.
Aye.
Klein.
Yes.
Devine.
Yes.
Witten.
Yes.
Calgill.
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, thank you. It's been added to the agenda at the very end. Okay, moving into the normal order of business, we're going to start with the prayer. Pastor Jim Kaminsky from New Life Community Church, if you want to make your way up to the microphone over there and turn that microphone on. I appreciate you. He's done this before and has been happily volunteering to come in and give us another prayer. So thank you.
Yes, thank you for the privilege. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the opportunity to come before you. We thank you, God, for the opportunity also to do business in the greatest nation on earth, Lord. Thank you for our freedom. Thank you for our men and women who defend that freedom, God. We don't take it for granted, Lord. We would have been an appropriate time to bring that up, being that July 4th coming and celebrating the birth of our nation, Lord. And tonight, God, we just pray that your wisdom would flow through the councilmen and councilwomen, Lord, as they discuss the measures, Lord, at hand, God. We thank you for this city. We thank you for the city of Marion. We pray, Father, that your hand would be upon our city, upon our mayor, Lord, and all of our officials, Lord. I also want to lift up in this prayer, God, that you would keep our first responders safe, our men and women in law enforcement, God, and we just pray your blessing over the city again. So, Lord, tonight we just pray, Holy Spirit, that you would give wisdom and counsel, God, as things are discussed, and we just thank you so much. We honor you tonight, which is why we want to start first off, God, to give you honor in your place here. And thank you again, Lord, and we just bless you in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Eric Marshall.
With extreme gratitude that I was born, raised, and live in this community, I am the privilege to lead you in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Madam Deputy Clerk, roll call.
Kane.
Here.
Marshall.
Here.
Fordyce.
Here.
Brunner.
Present.
Klein.
Here.
Devine.
Here.
Witten.
Here.
Calgill.
Here.
McKinley.
Here. We're going to go right into tonight's community spotlight, and I have the pleasure of welcoming up to the front Joe Schroeder. Come on up, Joe. And as he's coming up here, I'll just say, if you've driven around Marion, come all the way. You have to come all the way up. You get the full spotlight. So if you've driven around Marion or talked about real estate anywhere around Grant County or Marion, you probably know Joe Schroeder's name. Joe is definitely a spotlight in the community, and I tell you what, he's a workhorse, and you can't go anywhere without seeing his face or hearing about Joe. I'll just read kind of what I wrote. So born and raised in Marion, Joe Schroeder has built a legacy of excellence in real estate while staying true to his hometown roots. After graduating high school, Joe spent 7 years in marketing at the Chronicle Tribune before launching his real estate career with RE/MAX in 2014. Specializing in both residential and commercial sales, Joe's deep knowledge of the local market has earned him a trusted reputation across Grant County. With nearly 80% of his business conducted in Marion and surrounding communities, his impact is both measurable and meaningful. Joe is currently the #1 ranked real estate agent in Grant County for production and has held the title of top-ranked RE/MAX agent in Indiana for the past 7 years. That's incredible. Ranking 46th nationally, and he proudly represents RE/MAX, which, if you don't know, it's a global brand founded in Denver by a Marion native and Marion High School Alumni Hall of Fame inductee Dave Leninger. So Joe continues to lead with integrity, results, and hometown pride. Joe, we thank you for everything you do. You're always out and about in the community. Anywhere we go, we see you. And it's, it's a big deal for people to buy and sell houses. I mean, it's your home. And all I ever hear is rave reviews about how you've handled people with professionalism. You know what you're doing. I'm not sure, lately, you probably can't hold on to a house more than 24 hours now, right? Which is a good problem to have, right? I think that's the reputation you've earned, is that Joe can sell it. I think your billboard even says that a few times. So it's just incredible. I was going back through the history, and just like your old advertisements, like your first couple years, like one year he said 6 million sold, and then now what are you up to, like 33 million in less than 10 years, and that is an incredible feat. So we just really appreciate all you do in the community and all the residents that you help, and helping our residents find a permanent home. And so, yeah, would like to share anything, Joe?
No, I thank everybody here at the Marion City Council for the recognition this evening. A lot of familiar faces, folks that I've had the pleasure of helping in this room. And, Marion, Indiana, born and raised, and, a lot of people ask me in my travels across the country with RE/MAX, why not anywhere else? And, bang for the buck is right here, Central Indiana, Marion. And we've got an incredible opportunity here within our local market. And so I'm here to stay and help and thank everybody for your local support of me.
Well, we appreciate it. And just a question, so you worked at the Chronicle. What made you get into real estate?
Real estate had always been a passion of mine from the very beginning, and had a lot of people tell me, oh, that should be a later in life, thing, that's difficult in a small town like Marion, and, go get your career somewhere else and then follow up on the hobby later. And I was just kind of in a rut that happens to a lot of us in, certain positions in life along the way. And back in fall of 2013, I decided, hey, change of scenery, and there was no better time to take the plunge, and the rest was history.
Well, we appreciate you doing it, and yeah, we wish you continued success, and hope you can keep selling, and then we'll watch your billboards every year say 40, 50, 60 million.
Keep
so
bringing them to
we'll
Marion.
yeah, absolutely. And hopefully, with everything we're doing in the city now, and we can attract more housing and give you more of an inventory to sell. So hopefully we can get that.
Supply and demand is a big issue right now.
That's very true.
So it
Good deal.
does play a big factor.
All right. Any other council members want to share anything? If not, we'll get a photo. So perfect. Well, let's get a picture. The mic's on. So you brought two people with you,
My entourage.
your entourage, but I also understand that you know, some of them, they help you out a lot, and
We have a little mini team.
They
So,
do. Good deal.
I've
Yeah.
got a right-hand administrative gal, Julie Holloway, and my mother Tammy is our receptionist and office gal.
there you go. Team member, thank you for coming.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you so much, Joe, for coming in. And moving into the city employee spotlight, it's a unique one tonight. Generally, we just name one person, and in all fairness, I've been asking Chief Gar for a while. I send out occasional emails to different department heads, and so I asked Chief Gar like 2 weeks ago, hey, you got anyone in mind? And he was him-hawing around. Has all these names he could think of. He was supposed to get back with me, and then there was the fire there on, was it Washington, I think. And I talked to him the day after, and it was agreed upon. He had proposed, it's the chief's idea, but I thought it was fantastic to just recognize the entire Marion Fire Department, because it's a team effort. There's not one firefighter just goes into a building by themselves. They're all depending on each other's lives, and we're all depending on them as well. So we are going to recognize the entire Marion Fire Department. I know we have quite a bit of them here tonight, and I'm going to open it up to the chief to share some remarks.
Thank you. Thank you to the council for this opportunity to feature the Marion firefighters in tonight's meeting. When Deputy Chief Overmeyer and I started our administration in the beginning of 2024, we had a vision on improving the department. The department wasn't bad, but we knew it could be better. We wanted to elevate the equipment and stations, which in turn elevates the firefighter safety. Thank you to Mayor Morrell, this council, and the Board of Works for helping us get some new equipment. We wanted to elevate the training. With the revolving door of retirements and new employees, 60% of our department has less than 5 years of seniority. We know that those firefighters need the knowledge of an 8 to 10 year firefighter to adequately run our department. We wanted to elevate our PR presence, both in person and through social media. We wanted the citizens of Marion to see who their firefighters are. We want to elevate the transparency between our administration and the firefighters. Finally, we wanted to elevate the pride in the department. It was already there, but we knew more was needed. We knew we can get a little more out of them. We felt if these were accomplished, things would boost morale and the department would take even higher. Over the course of this year alone, each member of this council has, at least on one occasion, came to me and expressed how fine and how well the fire department is doing. How your constituents are telling you all how they appreciate it, how we're doing. Each of you have given myself and Deputy Chief Overmeyer the credit. I know as chief, it's common for me to get the accolades when things go well, but I'm only half of the equation. The firefighters are the other half. They had to buy into my administration, what my administration was trying to accomplish. They understand that it takes time and money to get equipment, and they greatly appreciate what you've gotten so far. The new firefighters understand that they have to learn and train, and they're hungry for the knowledge, as well as our senior firefighters are eager to teach them. Collectively, they've logged hundreds of hours of training in different locations throughout the city. Additional hundreds of hours training videos in the stations, and even more hours studying independently. Because of our approach to transparency, lines of communication have never been more open in my 26-year career. Morale has never been as high and widespread throughout the department. In addition to, got ahead of myself. One of our goals was to refurbish our Station 3 on Lincoln Boulevard. It had been neglected and abused for decades. We wanted it to be available for emergency situations. We asked the firefighters to go beyond the scope of their job to get this accomplished. Whenever we asked for tasks to be completed, we were often met with, "What do you need, Chief? How can we help? What else do you need?" The other projects we're doing as well, and they're met with the same reactions. Their willingness to step in and do the work has saved this city thousands of dollars. The firefighters have taken great pride in the stations, trucks, equipment, and the department as a whole. They fix minor things when they break and beautify the stations, sometimes using their own money, without expectations or desires of reimbursement. In addition of all the added tasks they've accomplished, the added PR, the added training, the evaluating of applicant ride-alongs this past June, they still perform their job at the highest level. Rather, it's setting up an impromptu landing zone for a medical helicopter, performing CPR, cutting a person out of a mangled vehicle, performing business inspections, containing a hazmat spill, setting a safe perimeter for a broken natural gas line, or battling a 3-building fire in 90-degree weather with 90% humidity. When it's time to work, they just get the job done. So when Council President McKinley asked me for a person to highlight, I couldn't pick just one. I'm extremely proud of the firefighters, and I felt they all needed the recognition. So gentlemen, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief. If you don't mind if I add a few words? So, you know, this department, the fire department deserves high praise. There's a lot of unwavering dedication, professionalism, courage in serving this community. I've just heard feedback from people all over the city about how the firefighters show up and are just very professional. They know what they're doing. They're well-trained. And that just doesn't happen by chance. That happens through dedication. We are honored to have a professional fire department here in Marion, and I'm excited. I know you said 60% has less than 5 years, but that's exciting as well. You know, sometimes a little bit of young energy is good to mix in with the crew, and you know, I always feel good that if there's an emergency that I'm well taken care of, and I'm sure our other council members and residents feel it as well. So I just appreciate all the dedication all the firefighters have been putting in. And then Chief, you've done a fantastic job leading them and also just communicating with the rest of the council. So thank you very much. Do any other council members want to share anything? Councilman Calgo.
There's no way I could not say something, being a former Marion firefighter. Chief, start with you. Over 30 years of experience with the Marion Fire Department, I've never heard a chief give his men accolades like you just did. I'm real proud of you for that, and it shows your leadership and the way you are running this department. Man, these guys, I'm telling you, pound for pound, I don't care if it's New York, LA, you guys in Marion are the luckiest people in the world. You got the best firefighters doing the job. I don't care what the situation is. You know, whether Swiftwater Rescue is another one, and they run like over 3,000 ambulance assists, is that right or no? Okay, so I mean, there's just nothing they don't do. And our thing we always said was, you know, if they can't handle it, we're in trouble, because if the fire department don't do it, it ain't going to be done. So I could not be any more proud of every single one of you guys. A lot of you, you know, I know I spent my career working with a lot of you. Tony, you know, you're what, like 75, so he's been on there a long time. But you guys, I don't know, I can't say enough. I will do anything and everything I can for you guys and your safety always.
Thank you, Councilman Calgo. Any other council members? All right. Well, we'd like to get a photo. I think we could fit everyone. If all the firefighters, please come up. We'll just get. I don't know. I think we can get them up here. Yeah, we did the volleyball team. Yeah, come on, all of you in the. You put those beautiful uniforms on. I don't know if you call them Class A's or not, but or B's. I don't know. I was a police officer. Oh, okay. Come on up. Just get behind us, spread around. We'll zoom out if we have to. All right. Okay. Thank you, Chief, so much. We're moving into the consent agenda for the approval of minutes from June 17th, consideration of pre-approved claims and consideration of claims. Any discussion? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Move that we pass the consent agenda.
Second?
Motion by Councilman Brunner, a second by Councilman Kane. Any discussion? Madam Deputy Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce.
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine, yes. Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. And moving into committee reports. Do we have any committee reports? Oh, okay. I do have a question on an update for the Public Works Committee on scheduling the alley ordinance committee meeting. Any updates on that yet?
Apparently, we had miscommunication trying to get a date scheduled and the confusion over the public hearing, so we will get that scheduled hopefully next week.
Okay, sounds great. No other committee reports. All right. We'll move into unfinished business in General Ordinance 13-2025, amending Salary Ordinance 11-2025, second reading and public hearing.
An ordinance fixing the maximum salary of appointed officers and employees, an annual payment of flex dollars, $250 to non-contractual full-time employees of the city of Marion, Indiana for the year 2025, adding 2 part-time park security positions. This is to inform you about a joint initiative between the Marion Parks Department and the Marion Police Department to improve the safety and security of our city parks and their visitors. As part of this commitment, the Parks Department is in the process of hiring 2 part-time security personnel who will provide coverage for our parks at least 42 hours a week, 7 days a week. Speaking Rose Cadena and Police Chief Dave Gilbert.
Welcome. If you could turn the mic on.
Good evening. I'd be willing to answer any questions. Absolutely.
Any council members with questions before we go to public hearing? Okay. Well, thank you,
Thank you.
Rose. At this time, we're going to go ahead and open it up to the public hearing portion. Again, this is to add some park security. If you'd like to speak, please make your way to the microphone. If you could just state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes if you could turn the microphone on.
Hello, this is Ryan Howell. My name's Ryan Howell. I live at 2909 South Branson Street, Marion, Indiana, and I was just wanting to put in my 2 cents to where I don't think we need any more government employees. I think we have a police department that can handle this kind of stuff. That's just, as a taxpayer, that's just my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Public hearing's still open if you'd like to express your opinion for or against. Welcome. State your name, address, and you got 3 minutes.
Randy Hyatt, 807 East 29th Street. Obviously, I work for the city of Marion, so all the repairs that are done for all the vandalism is done by us. So these spots are needed. We spend more money in repairs, whether it's broken toilets, shattered glass, you name it, it happens out there. You'll spend more money on repairs than you will on these 2 positions. I guarantee you that. Thank you.
Thank you. Public hearing still open. Not seeing anyone make their way to the microphone, so we'll close the public hearing. All right, any council members have any other questions, discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I just have one.
Yep, Councilman Devine.
Just
Councilwoman Devine, sorry.
Real quick, Rose, Chief, were these positions going to patrol just Matter Park, or are they going to be patrolling all of the city parks? Don't we have 12 or 13 of them?
No, they'll, my understanding, they'll patrol the whole, any of the park property, yeah.
All 13 parks.
All 13? Okay.
Any other council members? All right. Go ahead.
You ready for Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the rules on general ordinance, what is that, 11/2025.
It would be 13/2025.
That's why I don't have my glasses. Okay, 13.
We're amending 11/2025.
Oh, okay, that's right, sorry, 13.
Second.
I've got a motion to suspend the rules for General Ordinance 13-2025 by Councilman Cowgill, a second by Councilman Kane. Any discussion? Madam Deputy Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, rules have been suspended for General Ordinance 13-2025. I would entertain another motion.
Mr. President, I'd like to now make a motion that we pass general ordinance 13/2025.
Second.
Motion to pass by Councilman Cowgill, second by Councilman Kane. Any discussion? Madam Deputy Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. General Ordinance 13-2025 is passed. Moving into Grant County Visitors Bureau, Marion Common Council appointment. The deadline has passed for resumes, and we actually received 2 resumes, 2 interested parties for the appointment. And just as a reminder, this appointment actually will be effective today and last through June 30th of 2027. It's a 2-year appointment. And at the end of that 2 years, there's no term limit. So at the end of the 2 years, whoever may be in that spot can reapply, but we will reopen it again to the public every 2 years per the Visitors Bureau rules. So we've got 2 applicants. I'm just going to go in the order that they were submitted. And the first one I had received, the clerk's office received, is Sia. Is it Sia? Come on up, Sia. And we welcome you. And if you could just turn the microphone on. Is it already on?
Yes.
And just, how do you say your last name?
It's Mbayo.
Okay, that's, didn't want to mess that up. So we appreciate you
no
coming. Thank you so much for your interest. So the way this is going to go is each candidate's going to get 3 minutes. just to share anything you would like. You don't have to go the full 3 minutes. And then after each candidate goes, council members will be able to ask you questions. When we're completed, then what we'll do is basically take a vote with names. So we won't need a nomination necessarily. It's just we're going to go around and you state the name of the candidate you'd like to select. So, Sia, if you want to go ahead and start, you've got 3 minutes. Just tell us why you want this appointment.
Okay, well, thank you and good evening. Thank you for allowing me to be here, to be able to speak tonight. Again, my name is Sia Mbayo, and I am a passionate community builder, ministry leader, and business consultant with deep roots here in Grant County. This is where I was born and raised. This is where I live. To me, this is home. I'm applying for the Visitors Bureau Council because I believe in the transformative power of storytelling, hospitality, and collaboration to strengthen both our economy and our community identity. For the past 2 decades, I've served in multiple roles that unite voices for the common good by developing community-based programs ranging from pastoral care and engagement to administrative support, leadership training, and strategic consulting. I walked alongside families, seniors, students, and stakeholders, helping them feel seen, supported, and connected to the richness of Grant County. It was evident that I excelled in these unique areas when selected for the Tony Maningberg Award for Community Service. It's one of Indiana Wesleyan University's top award in this area. And I've had the honor to serve on several boards in our community. These roles has given me firsthand insight into the heartbeat of our city and its challenges, its beauty, and its untapped potential. As a council member, I will bring a blend of community-rooted experience, faith-centered values, and strategic insight. My background in consulting and outreach means I not only see problems, but I help create scalable solutions that serve real people. As I mentioned, I've served on multiple boards and know how to work across different perspectives with humility, clarity, and commitment to the mission at hand. If selected for the Visitors Bureau Council, I want to help amplify what's already beautiful about Grant County, from its hidden gems to historical richness, and to its potential. Because I believe when we elevate visibility, creativity, and collaboration, we don't just increase tourism, we strengthen identity. We remind our residents and visitors alike that Grant County is not just a place to pass through, but a place to pause, to invest, and to belong. I also believe that data-driven storytelling, by using both numbers and narratives to shape policy, attract visitors, and support small businesses. What I hope to accomplish, if selected, is 1, to change the perspective that tourism is just calendar event.
Your time is up. You got 3 minutes. So.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yes.
So if you want to stay up there, council members, any questions for her? I do have a question for you. If you had $50,000 to spend on a new tourism initiative, what would it be?
Ooh, that is good. I would say branding. Branding, I think, is so vital because, again, the storytelling, the narrative, that is a place that I believe we're doing, but we can do it a little bit better. I would also spend that time talking to nonprofits, other local businesses, being able to see how we can partner into initiatives that, create unity, and something that we believe as the Tourism Council will be able to elevate. So whatever we need to do to partnership with that, so they don't feel like they're alone. But again, it's being able to amplify and raise up our community.
Thank you. Any other council members? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we're going to welcome up Shelley. Shelley Jones, welcome. She's our second applicant, and we appreciate your interest, and we're going to give you 3 minutes.
Yeah, thank you so much. And can I just say, wow, what a dilemma you all have here today. 2 candidates with deep love for Grant County and the city of Marion and a desire to serve. And when I heard back from Councilman McKinley that the other candidate was Sia in bio, I was so thrilled and delighted. If you don't know her, I hope you'll introduce yourself to her. She's an amazing person to know, and I just really appreciate her heart and her dedication. She's just a beautiful person, so truly inspiring. And you certainly have a tough decision ahead of you with this. So let me share first why I decided to apply. Really, having someone from the Community Foundation in this role feels like a natural extension of the collaborative work already happening through Collabra. If you don't know, I think you all were invited to the Collabra Open House back in April, but it's a unique initiative, a collection of 6 Grant County-focused nonprofit organizations working together to intentionally and strategically serve the needs of our community. So, of course, that includes the Community Foundation of Grant County, the Grant County Economic Growth Council, the Grant County Visitors Bureau, the Greater Grant County Chamber, Project Leadership, and United Way of Grant County. And 6 fantastic organizations, really, if I do say so myself, right? And together we're creating something that's unprecedented, a shared space designed to foster innovation, unreasonable hospitality, and community-driven solutions, all working together under one roof. It really is a unique situation. And appointing someone who is already embedded in the work happening through Collabra creates a seamless bridge between the Visitors Bureau and its Collabra partners. It ensures consistent communication, aligned goals, and unified messaging as we invite visitors, investors, and residents alike to continue falling in love with Grant County and the city of Marion. My experience in relationship building, storytelling, and strategic development would directly support the Visitors Bureau mission, and which is, as a community asset, responsible for promoting Grant County as an attractive travel destination and enhancing its public image as a dynamic place to live, work, and play, which really strengthens the community's economic position and vitality. Together, these efforts are enhancing tourism and promote our community assets and help shape a welcoming, coordinated experience for all who engage our community. As someone who has proudly called Grant County and the city of Marion home for years, I believe in the power of place and the magic that happens when we come together to make it even better. In my current role at the Community Foundation, I've seen firsthand. I knew I was
3
going to run
minutes
out
is
of
up.
time.
Line goes fast. I know.
That's okay.
That's okay. At least you're both ran over. That's okay.
That's okay.
We'd rather you have too much to say than not enough.
Yeah,
so,
thank you.
You can go and have a seat if you'd like.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Stay up at the mic.
that's okay.
Open it up for questions
Yeah.
because I know I have 1 or 2. But
Sure.
Any other council members questions for Shelley? So I'm going to ask you the same question.
Sure.
What would you do with $50,000 for tourism?
Yeah, I thought that was a great question. And there are several communities that are just like Grant County and the city of Marion, right? And they're all doing things really well. And I really see nothing wrong with going to those cities, asking them what's working for them, and identifying a few things, a few ideas that we can borrow. There's no reason for us to recreate the wheel on some of these things. We can borrow what's working in other communities, and that has really helped them improve their infrastructure, their tourism, whatever it might be that would really just hit the mark for their community. And I think we could definitely borrow a couple of ideas and really maximize our dollars without having to, recreate that wheel. Yeah.
One other question is, what do you think, are there any gaps or underutilized assets in our current tourism strategy you think should be addressed?
I was thinking about that today, actually. We had a visitor at the Community Foundation office who, came to tour the Garfield Trail. And I know it's something that we've all driven by. We've seen those big statues all over, you know. There are people who come here from all over the world to tour this Garfield Trail. And I think we could really capitalize on, you know, some of the things that are located close by those different structures, those different, and those different Garfields. And just to capitalize on that marketing that's already here, already existing, you know, are there other things, are there, you know, little marketing pieces that we could use and provide that people could buy or whatever it might be so that they could, you know, spread that joy of Garfield back home or wherever it might be. So, yeah.
Thank you. Any other council members? All right, thank you.
Thank
Can I
you
have a
so
seat?
much. Yeah.
Okay, open up for any discussion. Any council members want to discuss? If not, yep, Councilman Klein.
I think the CVB's going to be in good shape, whoever gets the vote. I had 3 terms on the Community Foundation Board and got to see Shelley working and got to work with her, and I lost my train of thought. I lost the word I was going to use. Anyway, but from working with her and seeing her energy, I think they both would be fine. I'm going to plug Shelley.
Thank you.
Based on having watched her and worked with her.
Appreciate your input. Other council members? I think, Shelley, you're correct. This is a very difficult decision. But I'm just so glad that we found out we have this position open and that both of you applied. I will say before any votes taken, I would say, you know, whoever does get it, please represent the council well, but whoever doesn't, you know, obviously there's plenty of ways, as you both know, to plug in to tourism and all that, even without being on the board. And so we just really appreciate both of you applying. And I came in the meeting tonight still not knowing who I'm picking. So this is very difficult. So anyways, if the council doesn't have anything else, then what we'll do is we'll just go around the room, starting with Councilman Kane, and just state your person that you would like to select, and whoever gets the most votes will be the one. So go. I don't think we need anything official, so just go ahead.
Shelley Jones.
Well, I want to vote for my person, but I think highly of both these ladies. They're both incredible community members, and it's a shame to have to choose between the two. Hopefully the person that doesn't get it will reapply in 2 years. I've been on the Community Foundation Board for going into my 3rd term, and I too have had an opportunity to work with Shelley and get to know her very well and see how she operates and thinks, and I think she is my choice, so that I'm choosing Shelley. Unfortunately, I had to make a choice.
I would echo the president's comments on this, Nick McKinley's comments. This is a toss-up. I mean, I wrote both your essays, and they are just impeccable, both of them. But I think I'm going to go with Sia and Mbaya. Thank you both very well.
I'd like to thank both these young ladies for applying, and I would vote for Shelley Jones.
I'm going to echo that. Thank you guys thank you for giving a rip about where we are. And I'm going to vote for Shelley.
Very difficult decision. Thank you guys both for applying. I'll echo the same that everybody else is. And I would say I'm going to agree and do and say Sia and Mbaya as well.
And I'm going to mimic what Erica's doing there and vote for Sia and Mbaya also.
Thank you both. It's nice to see people get involved and want to be involved in the community. So I'm more excited about that. Both your guys' resumes are impressive. You know, I've known Shelley. I've worked with, she's a great person. I've seen her work before, so I'm going to go with Shelley.
Well, I guess it really doesn't matter with my vote now, huh? I'm useless at this point. So I guess I should probably vote, but I don't know. Do I really have to? Can I remain anonymous? I don't think I have to. There's no rules against it. Shelley got 5 votes, and so it doesn't matter how I vote at this point. I really couldn't even tell you. I mean, do I have to vote? Gosh. All right, well, I'll vote for Sia. 5-4 vote. I think it's a well-deserved split vote. So thank you so much. Congratulations to Shelley, Sia. We really hope you continue to stay engaged and, plenty of opportunity. And we're just so blessed to have both of you in our community. So, Shelley, I will relay this over to the Visitors Bureau Board. Obviously, you know a few people there too, and we'll get, if they need anything proper sent over, we'll get that sent over, and they'll get you up to speed on board meetings and all that. So thank you so much for both of you coming in tonight and spending your evening with us. So thank you. All right. Moving on to new business. This is an announcement. So Marion Utility Board opening. I'll just go ahead and read this one. So this is an opening for the utility board that just coming open. That's not from a resignation. It's just the end of a 4-year term. So we are accepting applications and resumes. There is an actual application that you can get from the clerk's office that you need to fill out and submit also with a resume. So this position is a 4-year term that'll run from August 1st, 2025 to July 31st, 2029. It's a 4-year term. You must be receiving at least one service from the Marion Utilities, be it water, sewer, trash. So you have to be an actual customer somehow, some way. You don't have to have all of them, you just need one of them. So the deadline to submit resumes is July 11th, 2025 at noon, and resumes can be turned into the city clerk's office, or you can get the applications from them as well, or you can email everything to councilpresident@cityofmarion.in.gov. So just encourage applicants to apply. This is an important position. There's a board member or a board meeting, I think, every month, sometimes executive board meetings. I'm not sure where you would land in all that. But this is an actual commitment, and it is an actual paid position as well. So there is an expectation that, that whoever applies and gets selected, that they're in and showing up to every board meeting, because it is a paid position. It's not one you just show up whenever you get free time. So this is a very, very serious position, because the utilities, there's a lot of decisions to be made that affect every single resident of this city. So look forward to seeing those applicants. We'll move on to General Ordinance 14-2025, Food and Beverage Tax, first reading.
An ordinance of the City of Marion adopting a food and beverage tax. On or around May 6, 2025, Governor Braun signed House Enrolled Act 1427, which among other items amended Indiana Code 6961, allowing the fiscal body of the City of Marion to impose an excise tax known as the City Food and Beverage Tax. The food and beverage tax applies to a transaction in which food or beverage is furnished, prepared, or served for consumption at a location or on equipment provided by a retail merchant in the city and by a retail merchant for consideration. The food and beverage tax rate may not exceed 1% of the gross retail income received by the merchant from a qualifying food or beverage transaction. Money received by the city shall be distributed to the city's food and beverage fund and only utilized for economic development, parks and recreation, and/or pledging of money for bonds, leases, or other obligations for those purposes. Speaking, Mayor Ronald Morrell, Jr.
Good evening, council. What a privilege to be before you all this evening.
and this is something that is challenging, but I'm pretty excited about. Councilman, do you have it on your end? Or maybe?
I do, but I'm going to let you go in because it
Okay.
seems like anytime I have a council meeting is when everything wants to change passwords and re-authenticate. So I'm going to connect or disconnect
Okay.
so you can.
Let me see here. It's trying to get me into the.
Well, you're on the same Wi-Fi?
Yeah. Well,
CCAP?
yeah. I'll talk at the same time as I'm trying to pull this up for the. Oh, you got a different Wi-Fi. I'm out on the same Wi-Fi. I don't want to delay it trying to get to my presentation. If I knew the password for this one, I can put it on there.
I can pull it up too. Just give me a second to
Okay. All right.
type my
So,
code here.
As we're working through the technical difficulties, I don't want to delay that. But so, what the food and beverage tax is? It is a 1% tax of the gross retail income received by the merchant from qualifying food or beverage transactions. This is 1% in addition to the standard sales tax of 7% for the state of Indiana. So if you were to go out to McDonald's and spend $20, your bill would then, if this passes, your bill then, okay, there we go. Your bill then becomes $20.20. Great, so take me to the slide, second slide. Okay, so that's the information there. So I won't read it word for word. Anybody who wants this presentation, I can send it over to you, but it's kind of give you overall a hierarchy view of how everything works. So the food and beverage tax and our intent for use can be used for parks and maintenance, development, economic development, and land acquisition. So if you would go to the next slide for me. How is this implemented? So we worked with the lobbyists to get it passed through the state legislature this last past session. So it was passed, and then now the next step for us is to be able to pass it here locally. And then if it passes according to the timeline, it will be implemented starting September 1st, and then the city will receive our first disbursement checks in October. You go to the next one. What is subject to the food and beverage tax? So this gives you a clear-cut definition of all the things that this would apply to, but I think the easiest way to sum it up without reading every single bullet point is if you go out and you purchase food that takes 2 or more ingredients to make and sold to you, then that's where the 1% would apply. So we've talked about the obvious ones like restaurants, things like that. But if you go to Walmart and you buy their already prepared like chicken, then or Meijer as well, that would apply to that. So that's what it can be used for. Okay, if you go to the next slide, this kind of outlines our timeline that I kind of alluded to earlier. So today we're here on July 1st for the first reading. This timeline is under the assumption that it passes tonight. So it's kind of presumptuous, but I want to at least give you the idea of how it would work. So the first reading is tonight, July 1st. Then we would have, if it's successful through tonight, I would hold my own public information session. Myself, Barnes & Thornburg and Joe from our economic development team, and the Indiana Department of Revenue will be here on July 7th for a public information session to explain in detail to concerned citizens, concerned restaurateurs, or whatever it is, how everything works and how it can be implemented for their restaurant. Then after that, the public hearing from a council perspective would be July 8th, and if it's successful through that, it would go to the third and final reading on July 15th, making September 1st the actual day that the tax goes into effect. You can skip this one. This next slide goes over our projected revenue from passing this at 1%. So I'll use some round numbers. So according to this 1%, Marion spends about $100 million a year on food, going out to eat. That's what we spend. So that's going to generate us, it's 1%, and that's about $1,057,000 that will be generated every year for the next 20 years if this passes. And then this slide is just a representation of if we were to bond for some of the money, how much bonding capacity we would have and be able to move forward from there. But that's something that we will, and so if and when this passes, I have to then come back to the city council for an additional appropriation or a spend plan for the food and beverage tax. So what the process we're starting now is just the idea for the tax to be allotted for. And if you guys find this favorable, then we have to start another process again, and where you guys will be intimately involved on how we can spend the money. So you can skip that one, next one too. So now here, if you go to the next, about 3 slides down, you'll see some of the projects that we're looking to hopefully tackle with this. So one being the Ballard Field project. So long story short, we have about 20 acres downtown at Ballard Field, and to spare you all the history, it can't be used for anything other than fields and or parks. So what we're looking to do is tap into the multi-billion-dollar youth sports industry and capitalize specifically in this location on soccer. So we've been working with a few different consultants and a few different teams putting together some numbers and how impactful this can be on the city. And we were just talking about the Conventions and Visitors Bureau. The development of this will benefit them, will benefit all our other local restaurants and other businesses. If anybody's had a chance or have any kids or grandkids that are involved in youth sports, you'll understand how lucrative of an industry this can be and how beneficial it can be for our city, not just from a one-to-one financial contribution, but also all the ancillary investments that go around this type of development. And you don't have to look too far. I mean, Kokomo has done one called Championship Park that's specifically focused just on baseball, and they generate millions of dollars a year for the city. So you can check this out from cities that are double our size, same size as us, and humongous cities where this model and this development is a huge attractor for the city. The next project is our just kind of highlighting all the things that we're doing in our Riverfront District and explaining why this investment into the Ballard Field is a key to the success. So I don't have to go through all the projects because you'll be talking about another one today with the Jones Heritage. But if you look at this map, it shows you the hyper focus and the density that we're pursuing by focusing on this area. So this Ballard Field project will be the key to making sure all this really functions, because what we're doing is obviously building housing and some entertainment. We've since then struck some new deals that are not on this map, but the old go-kart location will be open again with a new business. We've finished that off. So what this will do is be the key to activating this space, but we'll be able to attract thousands of people that come into the city of Marion into our entry corridor right there. The next slide is just talking about more projects that are currently already happening that will be really beneficial to the area, specifically folks around the riverfront. Next, we're going to go to the south side. So this is a lot that the city owns, about 4 acres, and we bought another, I think, 6 acres right next to it to try to couple together a really nice project. So it was brought to my attention, even back when I was campaigning for mayor, and people brought it up again, the south side of Marion from 33rd over, there is no parks. So if you think about how much you want, but from 33rd Street to the end of Marion 50th, there's no parks for anybody else to anything to do. So you have it bleeds in a few different districts, right? So 4, 5, and 6 all are start kind of like meshed together right in that area. So what this is kind of a modern design of a park, and it's called a food truck park. So what this will do is allow for a performance venue from a stage, and about, I think it's slotted for 10 parking spots for food trucks that will be able to use as a month-to-month leasing option to also generate more income for the city. That's another project there. And then next, we're going to go to our skate park. So when President McKinley brought this to me, I think last year sometime, and so I was very ignorant to how impactful it can be because I don't skate. But after doing further research and seeing how much people actually travel for skating, and how much it brings into each city that builds one of these specific style skate parks with this specific company is attracting people from. People are making it like a travel destination stop that they're visiting each city for. So, us being able to double down on this kind of investment again will benefit all of the travel that this food and beverage tax is going to bring in. So when we build something like this, we'll attract more people to come into the city. And this food and beverage tax is a moving target. It could go way up. This is just estimated off of 2023's performance. And so we're adding other options that are going to obviously increase our revenue from that standpoint as well. And then lastly, this is one thing I'm interested in from an economic development standpoint, Wing, is our airport is one of the greatest assets that we have in the city of Marion from hosting the obvious things that they do, which is flights and airport hangars, but there's so many other things that are happening out there that I don't know if we're all aware of, so I'll just take a second to highlight it. But between Marion Community Schools, Indiana and Wesleyan, we have a great program out there where they're learning, we're putting out like top tier pilots, which is, I don't think people know how many amazing things are going on in the education realm out there. And then next, this is one of my favorite events, is the airstrip attack. So airstrip attack along with the fly-in, cruise-in. So all that to say, Marion Airport is a jewel for us. And what we want to do is put ourselves in a position for continued growth and be able to host bigger and better, more events, more hangars, et cetera. So the airport has been on a many-year quest. I think they told me almost 25 years of trying to get utilities out to the location, and we paid for, in partnership, to have a study done to view all the different options. And the option to get the utilities out there and the method that we wanted to, that was necessary for growth, was like above $9 million. So that, I didn't think that was the best use for us. So then we had them run another analysis on what it would look like to double their capacity while just improving the septic system. So that's what we would like to do as a part of our economic development wing for this food and beverage tax, because our airport is a huge economic driver for us. When people Councilman Klein brought this up to me when we met, when people fly in, we're the nicest airport before you get to a big city in this area. So we're a destination for that, and we want to make sure we do everything we can to invest in that and continue to help it grow. So. That is all of the projects aspect of the food and beverage tax, but I don't want to get too heavy into that because we still have to do another 2 months with the council meetings about how that money's going to be spent. So I kind of just want to get the overall idea out there and entertain any questions from there.
Thank you, Mayor. Council members, Councilman Klein.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good presentation, Mayor. Thank you. However, food and beverage tax is a tax I think we honestly don't need. And let me share why I think that. As we've heard, it can only be used in general terms for economic development, parks and recreation, and related bonding. We already have an economic development tax that brings, if memory serves, more than $1 million a year. And we have other sources that can be used for bonding if we need to. And given what the General Assembly and the governor have done and will do to us through what was Senate Bill 1 and other assorted mischief, local governments likely within a year or two gonna take serious looks at relying on taxes other than property taxes to fund the services that are expected of them. Government pays for what it does generally through property tax and income taxes. And property taxes, at least for homeowners, it's going to be nice, but for governments, it's going to be a hit. And so they're going to look at income taxes. Some already are. And if we're going to be in a position to look at increasing taxes for needs down the road, I think it's very close to folly to create a tax for once. Now, Mayor, you mentioned going out to eat. So we go out to eat at a local restaurant, and we got a bunch of them. We enjoy a good meal, and it's time to pay. we have the cost of the food and drink, the stuff we've actually consumed. And on top of that, we have the state's 7% sales tax. And if you've been out to eat at local establishments, not all of them, but more and more of them, will charge a transaction fee of 3 or 4% if you're paying with plastic. And so now we want to add another percent on top of that. We're going to invite people to come to our restaurants, and we have good ones, and we're going to invite people to come to our restaurants and such, and then charge them another tax for the privilege. And all of that, those are my reasons. I don't think this tax is a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other council members? I'll share. Obviously, I have a little bit of input on this with the skate park. It's kind of been a project that I've been trying to help push and find funding for, and we're still looking at other options for funding as well. So, we're hoping we can subsidize some of the investment for the skate park and other areas other than a food and beverage tax. But, it's unfortunate that, well, how do I say this carefully? I'm all about low taxes. And in the country we live in, taxes are kind of a requirement to have nice things. Our country has been built with capitalism and the entrepreneurial spirit, but we have to support our capitalist adventures and entrepreneurial spirit with a strong, healthy government. And so taxes are a necessary evil. If we want a strong military, if we want to defend ourselves, well, how do we pay for our ships? How do we take care of these things? How do we pay our military? How do we pay our firefighters? Taxes are required. And so while I want low taxes, I know they're a requirement. The way I view this food and beverage tax, kind of like a user fee, I hate to say that, but it is kind of a user fee. It is an optional tax if you don't have to go out to eat to survive. This does not affect your groceries. In fact, your groceries, if you aren't aware, are not actually, there's no sales tax on groceries if you go to Walmart or Needler's or wherever. So this doesn't impact your ability to buy groceries or add to any of that expense. We have 5 highways that either come through Marion or stop at Marion, 5. So there's a lot of people passing through, including at 18 and 69. So the truck stops out there are all in the city limits. And this food and beverage tax is an opportunity to capture some of that. Also, we want people to come to Marion, and we do get a lot of people that come to Marion. July 3rd, our Independence Day fireworks. We have a lot of people that come in and use our parks, use our amenities that don't live in the city of Marion, and therefore do not contribute to the tax base in Marion. And then they go out to eat. And so this is an opportunity to capture some of that for people that come into town, that visit Marion, and kind of contribute to the parks and the tourism that our local city is able to provide. These potential investments the mayor's talking about have a potential to draw in lots of people from out of town. And let's just say there's all those soccer fields and we pull in a large tournament. Essentially, we're not really charging people to use the fields, but yet we have to maintain them, we have to build them. And so when they go out to eat, because that's probably what they're going to do, most of them, that allows us to capture some of that and reinvest it back into those fields that they are using generally at little to no cost. So I'm in favor of this. not because I just want another tax, but I'm in favor of this because I don't think this has a detrimental impact to somebody's ability to survive. If somebody's, down on the luck and maybe low income and living paycheck to paycheck, they don't have to go out to eat. Now, they do have to buy groceries, but again, this does not impact your ability to buy groceries. We've had a lot of investment with food in this city, as you've all seen over the years, and more restaurants coming. I think because we have a lot of people that travel through Marion and come to Marion to eat, not because it's every resident in our city that's supporting this. So I'll stop there. We have plenty of other opportunities to speak on this, but I am in favor of it because I do want to see Marion provide a lot of great assets and resources. I will, one last thing, say there is a tax on hotels. So if somebody says a hotel is a tax, but the city of Marion doesn't see any of that. That goes actually to the Visitors Bureau. That's what funds the Visitors Bureau. So if anyone says, well, what about all the taxes at the hotels? We don't see it. It goes to the Visitors Bureau. And this is in a sense, kind of our own way to capture that and bring it back into the city limits of Marion. Any other council members? Councilman Calgo?
Yeah, I agree with both of you on a certain extent. Councilman Klein is right. On Senate Bill 1, I don't know, how much the residents know about it and everything. That is going to kill cities. And ours is going to take a big hit in the multi-millions at times. So we have to make this money up somehow. We have to keep attracting people to come to Marion. To keep moving forward, it takes money. And if the government's going to take money away from us, we have got to. Nobody wants to do more taxes. I mean, let's face it, we don't. But that's where I agree with you, Nick. It's a necessary evil to keep going. I'm in favor of this as well because, property tax, we used to know exactly how much we're going to get every year, and it was a set amount. It was easy. And now they're looking at doing away with giving that money to us and doing an income tax. Well, that changes all the time. People move in, people move out, their salaries change it. I hate to do it, but I think we need this for this Marion, for our citizens, for our community, for the kids to want, we talk about wanting to keep our kids here. Well, we got to keep building. We got to keep making Marion a place that people want to stay. Not just, well, we're not going to do it. We're losing this. We're not doing that. So it's just the way it is. Well, then we're going to keep going the same direction we have been for the last 25 years, guys. So as a councilman, do I hate it? Yeah. As a councilman, I also took a note to do what I think is best for everybody in this town. And I just think this is one of them.
I would like to add real quick, I did recently meet with Chuck Binkert, who's the executive director of the Growth Council. I do serve as like the council's liaison or whatever to the Growth Council. And one of the questions I asked them is, when corporations and businesses that are interested in bringing good paying jobs, what's one of the first questions they ask? And one of the first questions, not necessarily but one of the first questions they ask is, what is there for our employees to do? And so he has to give them what we have to offer. And that can be a make or break. And when we talk about bringing jobs to this community, that's what these employers are asking. What is there for our employees to do? Where can they go? They also ask about schools as well. Indiana passed school choice, so they can choose whatever school they want in the county. But we want them to come to the city of Marion. We want jobs to come to the city of Marion because we want to attract and become a more attractive city and provide things for them to do. I think this ball field or these soccer fields, the skate park, attracting more youth to our community, because if parents are looking to move here, what is there for my kids to do? And so I think if this were to happen and we can get some of these things built, that would add to Marion's resume when these corporations come to the Growth Council and ask, what is there to do for my family? Any other council members? Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. President, thank you for your comments, Mr. Calgo, and yours. Michael, yours also. I am in agreement with moving forward with this ordinance, and at least to the second reading and public hearing to see what the input is. But as my wife and I travel, across the state, my decision to stop at a town or go to a different county or go down and watch the Pacers play is not based on, wow, I wonder what taxes are they going to charge me. If I see a restaurant I want to stop and eat at, I stop and eat. And if I want to go see the Colts play or the Pacers play, I don't worry about the 3 taxes that they've implemented down there at the Dome. I don't worry about that. I just go. And people may push back on this, but all of a sudden, it's a no-brainer. I don't think that people are going to, at some point in time, even notice the additional small added fee to your bill. So I'd like to push this forward and see how it plays out. So I am in agreement to passing this on to second reading and public hearing.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other council members? I will add that if you drive between here and Fort Wayne and here in Indianapolis, pretty much all the counties, except the very rural ones, already have a food and beverage tax. I could point to Delaware County. They use that. I can never pronounce the name of that building, but it's their big convention center, the Minestrone.
Minnetrista. Minnetrista Center.
Hey, that's just what you said. They use that food and beverage tax for that, and that. I mean, I've gone to events there because they have that, and then spent money at a restaurant because I've been there for that event. So they use it for that and some other things, but primarily they're their big convention center that attracts people to come to Delaware County. Of course, Hamilton County, you're almost paying 2% because every governmental entity can do a 1%. So not only does Hamilton County have one, but then every city within Hamilton County has a 1. So most of the places you go into in Hamilton County are actually paying 2%. But yeah, I mean, you go to Fort Wayne. I know those are much bigger cities, but you can go onto the Indiana Department of Revenue's website. It tells you all the other municipalities that have it. Columbia City, lots of communities our size or even smaller that have it. And you can call or visit those destinations, and you can see what they're doing with that food and beverage revenue, and they're reinvesting it back into their communities to make them attractive and bring businesses. And so this isn't some new concept. It's been around for 20 to 30 years, this food and beverage tax. And some communities have had it for a very long time. So I spoke to a council president and a community, the county just outside of Indianapolis, and said, well, what are you doing with this food and beverage tax, or how has it impacted? And this council president said it's been a game changer. They've been able to reinvest. They're providing more tourism, more assets, more resources, not just to attract people, but also to make the people living there happier and feel like they have more to do. So I'm in favor of moving this to a second reading.
One more thing, Mr. President. One more thing that I might add. As we campaigned and we all walked the city, some of the biggest complaints is, and even on Facebook, directed at the mayor, there's nothing to do in this city. We've got to have something for our children to do to keep them out of trouble. Well, here we go. We're laying it on your lap. So I think we move forward with this. I think we can glean the benefits of this tax, invest it wisely. We are investing in our children with this tax, in families, and that's important. and I'd like to see this pass. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other council members? All right, nothing else, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I would move that we pass General Ordinance Number 14, 2025 to a second reading and public hearing.
Second.
Motion to pass General Ordinance 14, 2025 by Councilman Kane, a second by Councilman Cowgill. As a reminder, if this does pass, it will go to a second reading public hearing on a special meeting, July 8th. That's next Tuesday, 6 p.m. in here. I just want to make sure everyone knows that. This will not go to the next council meeting because one of the requirements is that a second reading public hearing has to have a standalone meeting. That's why. It's not to try and evade anything. That is a state law. You have to have, it has to be the only thing on the agenda. So that's why this would go to next Tuesday at July 8th at 6 p.m. in here. So anyways, we have the second. Madam Deputy Clerk, roll call.
Kane.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Fordyce.
Aye.
Brunner.
Aye.
Klein.
No.
Devine.
Yes.
Witten.
Yes.
Cowgill.
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. General Ordinance 14-2025 will go to a second reading public hearing next Tuesday, July 8th, 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. And again, it's open to the public. And moving on to Resolution 10-2025, the Jones Heritage Project Agreements.
A resolution requesting the approval of the agreement for the Jones Heritage Project. Vita Investment Holdings, LLC, Jones Heritage, LLC, and Built Marion, LLC have submitted a proposal to develop the Jones Middle School building into approximately 80 apartment units, construct approximately 56 cottage units, develop and construct approximately 36 flex industrial units, and 146 self-storage units, all on the project site. The company expects that its total investment in the project will be approximately $40 million. As a result, the city has agreed to provide certain incentives to assist the company in the construction of the project pursuant to certain project agreements. Speaking, Chris Greisel.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, President McKinley, members of the council. For the record, Chris Greisel, Barnes and Thornburg, Council for the Redevelopment Commission. It's nice to be with you here tonight to be talking again about the Jones Heritage Project. I have the next three items on your agenda. They're all related. We're going to start with the project agreements, and then we're going to work our way through to the bond ordinance and the associated pilot ordinance. So Vita Investment Holdings, Jones Heritage, and Built Marion LLC have submitted their proposal, as was referenced to you, to redevelop the Jones Middle School site into approximately 80 apartment units, construct approximately 56 cottage units on that site as well, and then immediately adjacent to that site, develop and construct approximately 36 industrial flex units and 146 self-storage units, and that's all together on that project site. The company is expecting its total investment for this project to be just north of $40 million altogether. The company's requested that the city issues one or more series of economic development revenue bonds in a maximum par amount that the parties determine will ensure that 100% of the tax increment revenue generated within this new allocation area is utilized to pay debt service on the bonds. They've also requested a commercial property grant in the amount of $650,000 to help assist in the initial development and construction of the multifamily site. Through that work and through that project, we're proposing to issue two series of bonds. Series A is going to be for the multifamily portion of the project, and Series B is going to be for the self-storage portion of the project. These are both developer purchase bonds. So the city's not responsible for paying any of the shortfall, and the company has a third-party bond purchaser who's already been identified and who's going to be purchasing those bonds so that the developer can monetize that TIF stream for purposes of their construction and development of the project. The bonds and the total aggregate amount, and we'll get into this in the bond ordinance, will not exceed $7.5 million, and that's both Series A and Series B combined. Both series of bonds are going to be secured by minimum taxpayer agreements on the site, which will be recorded and require that the developer make those annual payments, which have been sized to the annual debt service payments. So The debt service payment amounts are going to be reciprocal to the taxpayer agreements. Additionally, on the Series A bond, which is the multifamily parcel, the company, as you all know, is the owner of Vita and Marion, which is another development here within the city. And under Indiana law, Vita and the city can enter into a certain pilot payment, whereby, and pilot meaning a payment in lieu of taxes, whereby those pilots are then transferred to the city in an established housing fund. And Vita has agreed to make annual payments to the city in an amount starting at $60,000 and then growing at 2% every year. Those payments will then be receipted by the city and sent to the trustee for these bond payments and will be applied directly against the debt service. So Series A bond secured by the taxpayer payment and these pilot payments, Series B bond secured by the taxpayer agreements, all set at a 1-to-1 rate of the debt service. As a condition of utilizing these pilot payments under Indiana law, the company is going to require that 16 of its units are forever going to be held at 80% AMI, which is the average median income of this area. Last Friday, the Redevelopment Commission approved these project agreements with the company. Assuming your approval of the same tonight, in consideration of first reading on the ordinance and first reading on the pilot ordinance, we are tentatively set to close on August 21st. The developer has already started demoing and has almost completed demolition within the Jones building. You may have noticed there's been a lot of work going on there. That building's almost completely fully demolished on the interior, setting it up for its redevelopment efforts. And both Phase 1 and Phase 2, or the multifamily site and the self-storage site, are now set to be complete by 2026. So all of this was originally going to be phased. The developer's now going forward and going to complete both the multifamily portion and the self-storage portion by or before 2026. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have on the project agreements. And I'll just note too, and I know I've referenced this to you all before, but the multifamily portion of this project is being underwritten by Freddie Mac. And due to their underwriting, and they're not underwriting the self-storage portion of the project, that's the reason and the rationale why you have two project agreements in front of you, why we're going to have two sets of bond documents. We are simply just separating for simplicity the underwriting on the Series A versus the Series B. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Chris. Great job explaining it all. Any council members with questions? Vice President Fordyce.
Chris, can you give us an idea of what the total assessed value of the complete project's going to be when it's done? Do they have any idea on that?
I'm going to turn to Greg Balsano of Baker Tilly on that one.
That'll kind of help us on the on the TIF revenues that are going to be generated for that.
Yeah, have that here for you. Yeah. So this is Jones project. So we've made estimates on what kind of monies this could provide with the self-storage facility, as Chris mentioned, as well as the apartment complex. And we've estimated that the incremental assessed value from this could be about $14.5 million, which is TIF revenues of around $450 or so, $430,000 to $450,000 a year. I would say that, with the bond payments, as far as those go, if they do exceed, that total assessed value split out between those two series, I think Chris mentioned that the difference would be made up by those minimum taxpayer agreements. So the developer would make up any shortfall that exists beyond the TIF and those pilot payments.
Did you say $14,500,000?
Yep, 14.5 million roughly of assessed value. Now, I will say that could be a bit aggressive, as that kind of assumes a new build. It's hard to determine what we'll assess, because this is an existing facility that's being completely remodeled, as I understand it. So that might be a little bit aggressive, but if it was a new build apartment, that's what we've looked at comparable properties around the area. It could assess that.
Is it aggressive or conservative? I mean, is it overly aggressive, or?
Well, it might be a bit aggressive, because it isn't, like I said, that would assume a new build, but at the same time, the pledge is for 100% of the TIF revenues. And so whatever the TIF revenues come in at, even if they were significantly less, the city is not making up any of the difference from its existing funds or TIF funds.
Okay. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Any other council members? Just a question, just for more public information, people might be listening, watching. I fully believe this project will be successful, and I'm super excited to see it be completed. But for anyone that might be wondering, well, what happens if this project goes belly up and say it's abandoned in the middle of it? What's the worst case scenario for the city and the taxpayers?
And it's a pretty loaded question, Council President. Is your question getting at after a project's completion, during the project, et cetera? So from the whole gamut, just like we've done in similar project agreements before you, we've put in a lot of protections for the city, and making sure that there are target dates for the developer to complete the project, to hit substantial completion, for closing on our financial obligations as well. So those will all be there throughout the course of construction. After construction is complete and the incentive has been utilized, we'll still be there monitoring the development as it comes on board for the city. With respect to some of the proceeds and the TIF incentive that is going to be applied, there are certainly defaults that could happen just like any other project, and we have control of those through the course of the project agreement. So if those breaches were to occur, there are underwriters and third parties who are involved that would hopefully get involved and rectify those errors. If not, we certainly will have the ability to do the same. But our commitment could be pulled back at any time during those issues. So if that's what you were getting at, Council President McKinley, then we certainly have levers to occur for those defaults and breach scenarios, but hopefully we never get to those things. Those are items that scary attorneys think about, right?
You answered it like a well-polished attorney. Good job. Well, I guess really where I'm going at is just for simplicity's sake, anyone that might be listening, is there any liability at all on the city or the taxpayer at all?
No.
Just want people to understand that. So if this project were to fail, it would stop taxpayer dollars from the city of Marion, and the residents would not be in jeopardy. Not be in jeopardy, correct?
These are developer purchase bonds where the city's not making up any of the shortfall. They're all backed by minimum taxpayer agreements.
I appreciate that. And I just say it because not everyone understands bonds, TIFs, and all that, and hear all these acronyms.
Sure.
I wanted it in plain English for people to hear that. So I appreciate you for answering that. Any other? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate those questions and your answer, Chris. I think that brings comfort to the taxpayers of Marion. But I think we can look at the record of Mr. Zeke Turner and what he's brought to Marion, and his track record is wonderful. So I think we can feel very comfortable that this project will move forward without glitches, and it will be, when completed, will be a great asset. And we'll be gleaning a lot of tax revenue from that project over many, many years. So here again, let's move forward with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We did want to clarify, I'd asked this question in the redevelopment commission meeting, but just for, again, simplicity's sakes, this is, we'll say, fair market housing. This is not a HUD development. This is not any subsidized housing whatsoever. This is all just fair market value. The whole thing about the 80%, it's not subsidized whatsoever. I did ask that question in the redevelopment commission meeting. This is all just regular apartments, regular housing. Vice President Fordyce, did you have a question?
I was under the impression that 16 units were on the 80%, which is subsidized for 62 and older.
So
Is that
there-
correct?
There is yes. So the 16 units from the pilot payments are going to
Yes.
be reserved. Maybe what Council President McKinley was getting at is the city's not making up those payments, though, in terms of the pro forma. I believe the developer and we can hear from Zeke and his team later down the road, but I think their initial marketing of most of these apartment units are at or around 80% AMI to begin with. If in 5-6 years, with all your continued investments in the city, the market rates go up, 16 of his units will have to remain at 80% AMI no matter what. So as the other market rates go up, potentially 16 of those units through your pilot payments will remain at that 80%. That's correct.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Chris, what is the expectation date when people would actually be moving in?
It's a great question. I would defer to the developer on that. We've been told completion by the end of 2026. I know that since demolition is done, I don't know, Mayor, if you've gotten any further completion on the multifamily. I know, Councilman Brenner, the multifamily is going to be finished first, I believe, followed by the self-storage site. So don't hold me to this, but I think a spring, summer target of 2026 is probably a reasonable expectation, but I'll get further clarification for you.
Thank you.
Any other Councilwoman Devine?
Just real quick, what is an industrial flex unit?
Yeah, great question. It's spec space for light commercial development that companies can move into site ready. It's called light industrial flex because I think it assumes that it's not just office space. You can put in a little bit of a more light industrial use in there, but it's spec development that's going to be built with the prospect of having small businesses locate in and around the area.
And what would be considered light industrial? I mean, I understand that they had one time and talked, possibly a little bit of retail space, some restaurants or grocery store, something along those lines.
And I think those amenities are still present in the multifamily portion of the project. I think when you move into the self-storage flex space, we're now moving into more of a business-ready flex space development area that whatever is appropriate for the zoning in that area.
Okay. And then I assume this also doesn't change some of the other plans they talked to us about green space and recreation space and walking trails and things like that?
You got it. All that, to my knowledge, is still part of the multifamily portion of the project.
Thank you. Any other council members? Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you.
If no one has anything else, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we pass Resolution 10, 2025.
Second.
Motion to pass Resolution 10, 2025 by Councilman Calgill, second by Councilman Kane. Any discussion? Madam Deputy Clerk, roll call.
Kane.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Fordyce.
Aye.
Brenner.
Aye.
Klein.
Yes.
Devine.
Yes.
Witten.
Yes.
Calgill.
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, Resolution 10, 2025 is passed. Moving on to General Ordinance 15-2025, Payment in lieu of taxes, first reading.
An ordinance authorizing payments in lieu of taxes for Vita of Marion. Vita of Marion LLC has developed, constructed, and currently operates an affordable housing development providing assisted living services to low-income seniors ages 62 and older. The project is subject to an extended use agreement as administered by the Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority for a period of at least 30 years. Pursuant to the extended use agreement, the project is limited to charging rents as determined in accordance with the extended use agreement and from time to time by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. The owner has agreed to make certain payments in lieu of taxes, and the city and owner desire to document that agreement in a written agreement. Speaking, Chris Greisel.
Thank you, Council President McKinley, members of the council. For the record, Chris Greisel, Barnes and Thornburg. The pilot ordinance and the pilot agreement just goes into further detail of what we discussed with respect to the Jones Heritage Project. As mentioned, Vita of Marion, which is on 41211 South Adams Street, is able to enter into this pilot structure under both federal and state law that allows them to make these commitments to the city, which the city is then going to pledge to the debt service on the Jones Heritage Project. One thing I would draw your attention to, the pilot agreement that's attached to the ordinance has the schedule on the very back of it that just shows you what those biannual pilot payments will look like. Again, they start at $60,000, but they ramp up at 2% every year. And so the final year's payment is roughly $106,000 on an annualized basis. So those do move considerably and grow over time to meet the debt service needs for the project as well. So with that, I'm happy to answer any specific questions about the pilot ordinance or pilot agreement.
Any council members on this one? If nothing, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we pass General Ordinance 15, 2025 on to second reading, public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Cowgill to pass General Ordinance 15, 2025, second by Councilman Brunner. Any discussion? Madam Deputy Clerk, roll call.
Kane.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Fordyce.
Aye.
Brunner.
Aye.
Klein.
Yes.
Devine.
Yes.
Witten.
Yes.
Cowgill.
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, General Ordinance 15, 2025. We'll move on to second reading, public hearing at our next regular council meeting. And moving into General Ordinance 16-2025, issuance of taxable economic revenue bonds, first reading.
An ordinance authorizing the issuance of one or more series of taxable economic development revenue bonds, Series 25. Vita Investment Holdings LLC, Jones Heritage LLC, and Built Marion LLC have submitted a proposal to redevelop the Jones Middle School into approximately 80 apartment units, construct approximately 56 cottage units, and develop and construct approximately 36 flex industrial units and 146 self-storage units, all on the project site. The company expects that its total investment in the project will be approximately $40 million. As a result, the city has agreed to provide certain incentives to assist the company in the construction of the project pursuant to certain project agreements. The city proposes to issue two or more series of economic development revenue bonds in the aggregate principal amount of $7,500,000. Speaking, Chris Greisel.
Thank you, Council President McKinley, members of the council. For the record, Chris Greisel, Barnes and Thornburg. As was just mentioned, this just goes more into detail of the bond ordinance that we're proposing to support the Jones Heritage Project. As we mentioned, these are total aggregate amount not to exceed $7.5 million. These are developer purchase bonds. The developer has a third-party purchaser that's lined up ready to purchase these bonds, and the city's not responsible for any of the shortfall payments. The increment generated on the multifamily parcel is going to be pledged to the Series A bond. The increment generated on the self-storage site will be pledged to the Series B bond. And as previously discussed, both bonds are being secured by taxpayer agreements. And additionally, the Series A bond has the security of the pilot payments. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you all have.
Council members, any question? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we pass General Ordinance 16, 2025 on to second reading, public hearing.
Second.
Motion to pass by Councilman Cowgill, a second by Councilman Kane. Any other discussion? Madam Deputy Clerk, roll call.
Kane.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Fordyce.
Aye.
Brunner.
Aye.
Klein.
Yes.
Devine.
Yes.
Witten.
Yes.
Cowgill.
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, General Ordinance 16, 2025 will move on to second reading, public hearing at our next regular council meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you and excellent job. We're very lucky to have you and advise. It's very complicated stuff that you're dumbing down for us, so thank you. And moving on to additional appropriation 10-2025, aviation equipment, first reading.
and appropriating funds in the amount of $83,147.86 for aviation. Aviation formally requests an additional appropriation for funds for the necessary replacement of our underground storage tanks. Speaking, representative from the Marion Airport.
Good evening. Thank you, Council President and Council members. Ray Dosh, President of the Board of Aviation Commissioners. I have present with me here our manager, Andy Darlington, and our engineer, Ryan McCroskey from Wolpert Engineering. Before I begin the presentation, you have before you our total project cost summary for the two portions of the project. And I will note that we've been working on this, the airport has for the past 3 years, preparing to do this project. The Board of Aviation is respectfully requesting an additional appropriation of $83,147.86 to fund the replacement of our underground fuel storage tanks. The existing underground storage tanks, both 100 low-lead avgas and Jet A, are 30-year rated double-wall 10,000-gallon tanks that have been in the ground for 38 years, 8 years past their useful life. Planning and design of this project, the design, I should say, was initiated in 2024. At that time, the Marion Common Council graciously provided an additional appropriation of $400,000 for this purpose. At that time, it was believed that the balance in our capital improvement project funds, including that additional appropriation, would be adequate to fund the local share of the project. However, costs for this project have roughly doubled in the past year, and that includes what I believe was a roughly 5% increase over our engineers' recent estimates, largely due to tariffs. Any failure of either system would result in an unavailability of that particular fuel, except for what is in the respective fuel truck. Air Marion maintains dispensing equipment besides the stationary tanks in fuel trucks, and then just one for each type. They can move or fuel airplanes without having to tow or taxi them to the fuel farm. Our 100 low-lead truck has only 700 gallons capacity. Our Jet A has 2,100 gallons. So any loss of tanks would require frequent deliveries and delivery fees to maintain supply. Lack of supply has the potential to create a hazard for a pilot who fails to check the FAA notices to air emissions, NOTAMs, where such notices are published. Any fuel tank failure of the 38-year-old system could result in a potential need for soil remediation. Underground tanks represent extreme risk, where an above-ground tank sits over a concrete pit to catch any leakage, preventing ground contamination. The best design available for a new system, which is comprised of 12,000, this design is 12,000-gallon above-ground tanks, requires removal of our 100 low-lead avgas underground storage tank prior to construction. The existing Jet A underground storage tank can be removed at a later date. To proceed with the federally funded Jet A system project without doing the 100 low-lead avgas system would require that the Jet A system be redesigned such that the avgas tank could be removed at a later date. This would result in a greater cost and a less optimal system. While 100 low-lead avgas demand does not satisfy the requirements for federal participation, our airport has increased demand due to the ongoing success of the High School Aviation Academy during the school year and the Air Force cadet training in the summer, such as is taking place right now. I would point out again that the Jet A system is federally funded except for our 2.5% local match. The 100 low-lead avgas is fully locally funded, and that's what we're hoping to be able to do at the same time as the Jet A project. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's a lot of information. I'm going to open up to any council members with questions. I guess I'll ask a couple. Have you asked the county for any assistance?
Over the years, we've tried, not myself, but only just being recent to the, appointed to the Board of Aviation, but my predecessor, Mr. Jim McKinney, tried many times over the years to get county support for the airport, and although they benefit from it very definitely, they've always been very difficult to get anything from them. So we have not recently made any attempt. We did approach the county, the previous president did, over the issue of the trying to get septic and water service to the airport, and we could get nothing from them.
How about Gas City?
I don't know that they've been approached, but no, I'm not aware that they have.
So I just ask, because I know this airport, and by the way, thank you so much for coming to us. I know this airport says Marion on it, but it really should be called the Grant County Airport, because it services businesses all over the county, including Gas City, some of their larger corporations there, Walmart, all those others. Does the airport receive any funding whatsoever from the county or Gas City?
None whatsoever.
Okay. Answers my question. So, and you're coming to the city of Marion for this $83,000. What would happen if you did not get this $83,000?
We would likely have to redesign the Jet A system such that it would not be located over the 100 low lead avgas underground storage tank. It would be a less ideal, and I don't know if I could state just, it would have to be relocated so that we could get that tank out of the ground at a later date when we would take on that project and would have the funds for it. It would be less ideal, and we don't know when we would be able to do that. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah. Councilman Klein?
Yeah, you asked, your last question was one I was going to ask. Tell us who in particular uses our airport, and if this doesn't happen, where do they go? Do they still come here? What happens? Well,
the unavailability of any fuel would be an impact, but, and certainly would impact, if we lost, had a problem with one of these underground storage tanks, particularly the Jet A, would be a disaster for us. But if losing the 100 low lead avgas would not be as big an impact, but it is a difficulty in where our pilots would have to fly out elsewhere to get fuel. And I know other parts they have to do that, not very commonly, but to answer your question, there are many. We have most of the business aircraft that arrive at the airport are turbine aircraft using the Jet A system. Poet and CIE. And I don't know that Walmart uses it to any large degree, but occasionally. And I'm sorry? Staff Flight PHI. Yeah, Staff Flight, which
okay. So if the avgas doesn't happen and you're talking about folks having to go elsewhere, does that risk losing people at our airport and risk our regional designation?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which is a big financial hit.
Yes.
Right?
Very much so.
If we were unable to, if we had no avgas.
Yeah.
I apologize.
And can you state your name as well for the record?
I apologize. Andy Darlington, Airport Manager at the Marion Airport. If we were unable to have avgas, right this second, our tanks are fine. We're meeting all requirements, but we're 38 years into 30-year lifespan. If we were to lose the ability to pump avgas, we need 50 planes based on the field. if we have no fuel to give, that's going to give incentive for a lot of our customers to either look for a hangar to base their plane out at Wabash, Kokomo, Muncie, Anderson, because no one wants to go out to their plane and have to fly to a different airport to get fuel every time. So we would definitely risk losing customers. It would be much easier for them to drive, 20 miles, 30 miles, and to a place where they were able to get service.
And if we lose our regional standing, I mean, that's just not a fancy label that we like. What happens if the airport loses its regional status?
So money, non-primary entitlement money that we end up getting from, because we are regional status, would be cut in half. Is that?
Ryan McCroskey with Wolpert. Yeah, recently we received bill money from the federal government, and that was based on your regional status. So back in 2022, we weren't regional status, and we only got $159,000 a year. In 2023, we went back up because of the based aircraft, and with that being said, they bumped up our funding from $150 to $295 a year for that bill funding. So it really does affect the federal funding when it comes to your regional status.
Another question I have is, as far as the revenue that the airport brings in, was there any potential that your revenue, people are paying for this gas, could cover some or all of this $83,000?
That being, future revenue, it would be difficult to come up with the funds to fund the project this year, as we hope to do. Excuse me. But I think the income from the fuel sales would be a little too slow coming in just to manage the project. I just don't see how we would do it, really. We'd have other funds that will be available in the future, but it would be very best if we could do this project at the same time as the Jet A system.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Any other council members? Councilmember Brunner.
I guess I'm maybe not hearing you correctly. Have you been to Gas City? Have you talked to Bill Rock, the mayor? Are they doing absolutely nothing and yet benefiting from your airport?
Same as the county, yes. We have not been to them, to my knowledge. Again, I just joined the commission or the board this year, but I've been around Marion for a long time. I'm not aware that if they have been approached in the past, but no, we don't know that they have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As a follow-up to Mr. Brunner's question, I would love to see you guys approach Gas City and the county formally so they can formally, publicly deny funds to you. Yeah. I think that would be a great idea. The only thing I would add is that we have already accepted the bid for the Jet A system and applied for a federal grant. We are asking the contractor to hold off until after the fly-in, cruise-in to begin their work on the system, and they're probably not going to be able to start that quite that soon anyway. But that project will be going ahead this fall, and for them to do this avgas project at the same time, we need to get them ordering tanks and such here within the next couple months, probably by August. And so we do have a time issue.
All right. Any other council members? I will say, I appreciate you sharing the time issue, but I don't necessarily want to vote under pressure. I personally feel that I don't think the residents of Marion should bear the burden of all of this expense. And I did speak to a member of the county council today who said they're just not interested in taking this on. So I at least got an answer. I've not talked to anyone from Gas City, but I think this airport there should be some spread as far as accepting some of the expense, especially, or if we just split this 83,000 in thirds, that would be $27,715.95. And I'm sure all the other two governmental entities probably could find $27,000 in their budget to maybe share some of this burden expense. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to vote for it today to move on. However, I think between now and the next reading, I think maybe those conversations formally should be had or formally requested, just so we can see if some of them can help with this expense.
Certainly.
So, and not trying to be difficult for you guys. I know it's not you. Appreciate you coming to us. We're just trying to be fair, and I appreciate you guys being patient with us. So, any other council members? I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I'd like to ask that we approve appropriation 10, 2025, and pass it on to second reading, public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Cowgill, second by Councilman Klein. Any other discussion? Madam Deputy Clerk, roll call.
Kane.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Fordyce.
Aye.
Brunner.
Aye.
Klein.
Yes.
Devine.
Yes.
Witten.
Yes.
Cowgill.
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Additional appropriation 10, 2025 will go to second reading, public hearing at the next regular council meeting. Thank you so much for hanging out to the end with us. We're going to move into the additional agenda item that we did add at the beginning. It's General Ordinance 17-2025. And I'll go ahead and read this. Basically, it's to change a portion of 2nd Street from Adams to Branson to a two-way. It is currently a one-way. We, as a city, vacated portion of 1st Street to allow for the River Rocks development. And we did have a committee meeting on that, so I don't know if Councilman Calgo, you want to kind of recap that committee meeting?
Yeah, we did. We also had a special public meeting with that, and the business owners discussed it, and this was the best solution that we could come up with, because First Street, our emergency services use that route a lot to and from the hospital. And so since we've done away with that, we needed to get them still a good route in that area to and from the hospital. And this is our best one we had, and we come up with a favorable recommendation onto the council.
Thank you for that. So again, it's to convert 2nd Street from Branson and Adams from a one-way to a two-way street. It's also important for public safety, pedestrian accessibility, and overall traffic and management of the city. So, yeah, I don't think there's any other details on this one other than it's that simple, converting it two-way. And I know there's a lot of construction downtown, and the reason we wanted to add it to the agenda today is just to kind of get this moving, because there's some traffic issues downtown right now with all the construction and continued road construction and continued development at the River Rock site, that we want to get this converted as soon as possible. So any other council members with questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I'd like to ask that we pass General Ordinance 17, 2025 onto second reading, public hearing. And we had I don't know if Mike left. I had a lot of work from Mike Graff. I appreciated Mike's help. But, oh, there he is. Okay. Thank you, Mike, on that.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Calgo, second by Councilman Kane. Any other discussion? Madam Deputy Clerk, roll call.
Kane.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Fordyce.
Aye.
Brunner.
Aye.
Klein. Devine.
Yes.
Witten.
Yes.
Cowgill.
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, General Ordinance 17, 2025 will move to a second reading public hearing at the next regular council meeting. Again, thank you, Mike Graft, for all your work in this, and coming to a good resolution and a compromise for those local businesses over there. Moving on to just announcements. The next citywide cleanup is in District 4, and that's July 19th, 2025. Same thing, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. If you're District 4, place your items out on the curb, not in the alley, for pickup. And of course, no tires, TVs, refrigerators, those types of things. And we'll make that announcement again at the next council meeting. And of course, as always, you can take your items down to the city maintenance building there behind the old armory from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. and drop things off as long as you have an ID showing you live in the city limits. And excited to have the Independence Day celebration. Mayor Morrell is saying it's going to be bigger than ever, right? Bigger than Gas Cities, correct? Way bigger. So, yes, so we're doing on July 3rd, and I think I like that. Allows people to enjoy fireworks not only here, but in other places. Yeah, it begins at 5 p.m. at Motter Park. And I did see, there's going to be a lot of traffic. It's not going to be enough. So you can park at the mall and take, city buses that will transport you down to the park as well to make it less congested. So I'm just looking forward to that. So I appreciate you doing that, Mayor, and making it bigger than ever.
Will the traffic be worse than 7 Brew?
Probably. Yeah.
Just asking.
Yes, and big compliment to the police department. I know every year they have to direct traffic, and it's a lot. And again, goes back to the food and beverage tax of all these people coming in and enjoy all of our amenities, and we can capture some of that. So I had to throw that in there. Any other announcements from the council members?
I have not an announcement, but a question. Mayor, do you have our budget idea of when we're going to have our meetings or anything yet? Any projections? Trying to get my calendar going.
The controller's office is finalizing through that, but I'm expecting to have a version to you, I think, by the end of August. And then I think our deadline, because the rules has changed today. Let me double check on what the deadline is now to get it approved. So.
Also, I will say this for all the council members, if you haven't got the letter or seen it or known the law change, but if you are an elected official that makes more than $5,000 a year, which is all of us, you're now required to file a CFA-1 campaign form. If you've got questions, go down to the county building and or talk to your local legislators about it. So now you have to keep a campaign committee active if you're making more than $5,000 a year as an elected official. So. And you got until July 11th, so you got 10 days. I don't know what the repercussion is or whatever it is, but I'm just letting you all know. What's that? They'll fine you. Just take it out of our wages.
We got Marty and Chris.
Oh, Marty will defend us. No, just kidding. All right, any other announcements? Great, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Motion by Councilman Kane, second by Councilman Cowgill to adjourn. Any discussion? Madam Deputy Clerk, roll call.
Kane.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Fordyce.
Aye.
Brunner.
Aye.
Klein.
Yes.
Devine.
Yes.
Witten.
Yes.
Cowgill.
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, we are adjourned. Thank you for coming.